Yes.
Judge ready?
Yep.
Partner ready? To begin, Judge, I would like to briefly go over our contentions. Our first contention was the illegal trade. While some of this trade is legal, more often than not, these animals are brought in illegally and hunted illegally in other countries and other places that aren't the United States. Additionally, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry of illegal trade. Additionally, I would like to say that this trade, people can buy these animals and use them for whatever. They can be used as decoration, and you can't guarantee that these animals are being treated well. And again, some people are buying these as pets, but by still buying them as pets, you're still contributing money to this illegal trade and to this illegal selling and capturing of wild animals. Our second contention was human health. Again, as my partner mentioned, people have spent time in the hospital by coming into contact with venomous and poisonous animal bites, and a lot of people get these animals without being aware of the implications and the amount of care it takes to take care of these animals, which again can cause tons of consequences, not only for the animal but also for the human taking care of the animal. As my partner mentioned, lots of people spend time in the hospital because of these implications. And our third contention was animal health. Like my partner said, 72% of them die before reaching the market, and 75% of animals die within a year of being in ownership, and there's a 7% chance of survival after the first year, which are not good odds. Nobody wants to face a situation where you have a 7% chance of survival, which is objectively what we're putting these animals in by allowing the continued trade of exotic animals in the United States. And now I'd like to move on to my opponent's case. The opponents misunderstood our policy and said that 1 year is not enough time for these animals to get rehabilitated. However, I disagree, and 1 year is a significant amount of time, especially with the enough time and energy put into this program. We can definitely rehabilitate these animals and send them out to the wild after a year, or find different ways to make sure they're not in human hands and the typical owner of a pet, such as zoos. We can totally put these animals in zoos. Or again, release them into the wild would be ideal. Additionally, the opponents mentioned that not many people own crocodiles, which is the example that we use. However, that's not the only attacks. There's also venomous things from scorpions as well as snakes and other venomous animals. Additionally, people, like I said before, people get these animals without being aware of the implications and the care that these animals require. Additionally, the opponents mentioned an example in California that in California you need a permit. However, this example only is in California, and California is one of the only states that requires a permit. Texas, for example, has one of the most lenient laws regarding the owning of animals. If you live in Texas, you can pretty much own whatever animal you want without needing a permit. You also take your question.
Do you think it's possible to relocate every pet in the United States?
I don't understand.
Every exotic pet, given that they would be banned. And you mentioned things such as putting them into the wild and being able to relocate them into the zoo. Do you think it'd even be possible to relocate every single exotic pet in America?
Yes, because like I said before, they're exotic pets from certain environments. I don't see why we can't just put them back into that environment where they came from and where they were taken from. Does that answer your question?
I'm satisfied.
Additionally, whether that we have our laws or not, these animals still suffer. Like my partner mentioned, they're put through these brutal conditions of being taken from their home and shipped across the country to the United States. And like we said before, there's a 76% death rate among these animals, as in 76% of these animals die. And like death is a severe consequence, and these animals are not going to come back. And it's not just sickness, it's death. I would like to emphasize that. Additionally, like my partner stated, there's no benefit that you can get from an exotic animal that you can't get from a cat or a dog. Many people own cats and dogs to have emotional support, or again, service animals, because they're smart and domesticated and they understand human life. And it doesn't make much sense to get an exotic animal when you could get the same benefit with a way less amount of work and again, less cost, and with more legal implications you could get from a dog or a cat. There's no need for someone to own an exotic animal. Additionally, the opponents mentioned that it's not very common for people to own exotic pets. However, just because it's not common doesn't mean it doesn't pose a problem. Like my partner stated, 17.6 million exotic animals are owned as pets in the United States. And who's to say, and we cannot say for sure how many of these animals were taken in illegally. And like I said before, the illegal trade is very unethical and causes a lot of trauma for these animals. Additionally, I would like to say that, for example, if you want to own an exotic pet to learn about them and to learn more about the lifestyle with an exotic pet, there are ways to learn about exotic pets and to come in contact with them without having to keep one in your home. For example, zoos, petting zoos, etc. There are ways to come in contact with these animals without having to keep one in your house. Additionally, wildlife trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Like I said before, these animals are captured and sold, and it's most times very inhumane and cruel towards these animals, and like my partner stated, 76% of them die with a 7% success rate beyond the first year. Additionally, there's a spread of disease from animals to humans, because like we said before, it's not ethical. These animals aren't licensed. We can't be sure whether they have diseases or not, and again, it can cause the spread of disease, like we just had recently with the pandemic. Yes, I take your question.
Would passing your policy help the problem with the illegal pet trade itself?
Yes, it would, because owning an exotic pet would be illegal, so these people would have no reason to keep their pets and no way to keep their pets legally.
I'm satisfied.
Okay. Additionally, I would like to say that the opponents mentioned that many of these animals die anyways, and they die due to the poaching and the illegal trade. However, we can significantly minimize this number with the banning of owning these exotic pets, because by banning and making it illegal, these people have no way to legally keep the pets in their house. And it's pretty hard to keep a tiger or a crocodile or venomous pets discreet from everyone else, which would make it highly unlikely for people to own an exotic pet once it is made illegal. And for these reasons, Judge, me and my partner continue to urge a vote in favor of the affirmation.